Hello, it's Collette from the Sacred Rose Temple, and I'm here to give you this week's energy report on the 7th of the 4th, 2025. Well, finally, Mercury goes direct. It feels like there has been a massive implosion inside of our psyches, minds, hearts, souls, and that's all due to, this melange of planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, all in retrograde, and with the foreseeable future of Venus turning direct on the 12th. And of course, today, Mercury going forward again. We're going to just get a little let up of feeling like we're not in a quagmire of our own hurts, pains, wounds, relationships, all those things that have been coming up for us. So it's going to take us out of that heavy pot of emotions, wanting to stay away from people, being very triggered by people, situations, our life, and the relationship issues that have been coming up. It doesn't mean that it has been futile, the time that we've just spent over the last few months really feeling the blocks that we've been holding as individuals, because we've done some really deep work there. Actually, we've made some very deep realizations about our own self, how we have been traveling through our relationships in general, and more specifically relationships related to the heart. So our lovers, our husbands, whoever has been in our life or not in our life. And it's really been trying to show us some deep patterns that have been held within our psyche with regards to relating, and were places where we undervalue ourselves, places where we've been false, places where we're not holding our authenticity, asking what we want, settling for less, bringing behaviors into relationships that are from your traumas and from your wounds, just not being in a space where you've cleared or healed them, but now having a clear of understanding at what it is in you that is demanding attention and needs healing. That's going to really bring you into a space of clarity for how you proceed forward in your relationships and in your life, specifically with regards to love and self love. Are you loving yourself enough? Is your environment self loving? Is the people you are around loving to you? Is what you want for yourself loving? This has all been part of the Venus retrograde. She's really been trying to pull us back to beauty, love, all the good things in life, and really allowing ourselves to look at our situation and say, am I giving myself these? Is that what I'm doing? So all that evaluation has been going on, and it's actually made us feel like we're very stuck. So that stuckness has been necessary, because when we get that void space, I like to call it that liminal space, that space where not much is moving, we as humans tend to resist that and want to move. We want to push. We want the next step without really feeling that this phase is very vital. It's super vital for us so that we can understand what it is that we need to work on. And that's what we've been going through. So if you're like me and you take these opportunities to really grow yourself, you're kind of making a crib sheet of all the things that have been detrimental to you, your behaviors, and what those behaviors have then allowed in. So this is self-reflection and this is self-ownership. It's not blaming others. It's not you did this or they did that. This is, I allowed this. I called this in because of this part of me. And it's a much more empowering process to do that, because what it's trying to do is this depression we've almost been in, it's trying to pull us out of our old paradigm. It's trying to wrestle internally with the very places in you that are stagnating you, that are blocking you from deeper love, deeper abundance, deeper beauty, deeper simplicity, whatever it is that you're calling for. So you really need to take a good look at that and say, okay, what is this in me that has been shown to be changed. And now, as everything's going direct, how do I actually move forward now? What actions does that take? So, for example, I love working with archetypal energies because of my Jungian studies and working with the feminine in the womb and the archetypes that the feminine holds. If women can become aware of the archetypal patterns within them, not only just them, but in the world, we can really begin to tap into some powerful qualities of the human psyche. And so I try to, at an event this weekend, hold the space of the Queen archetype, which is one I'm working with quite deeply in relation to coming into the elder woman, the woman who comes into her power, the woman who comes into her heart and rulership, and working within leadership, which I've always been in as an animus driven woman, in leadership in a really feminine embodied way. And the Queen archetype is something under analysis that I've been asked to work with. And so I held that archetype and I've been trying to hold it, working with the sacred sexuality and the art of magnetism and seduction. And it's really working. I'm not saying that I've attuned that to be a fine frequency. I'm not anywhere near that yet, but I'm definitely feeling what's coming forward as a result of playing with this energy within me and holding me in that space and accountable for my own energetic patterns and behaviors, and really owning myself in the archetypes that I wish to work with. So I really, really recommend, if you haven't done any archetypal work, well, you might see this quite accidentally if you're studying Buddhism or, the warrior, or you're doing womb work and you're like in the priestess. But rather than these being woo-woo abstract archetypes, find out what those archetypes really mean. What do they really do? What is their behavior? So in an engagement I had with an artist, I realized that this artist would hold many beautiful qualities of the artist, but also the shadow aspects of the artist. So I'm aware of that when I'm meeting people. What's this person's real archetype and what's that showing about them? And that's same for me. So my fundamental archetype is a teacher archetype. I spent my life in teaching many different things. Yoga, I was a school teacher. I teach sacred feminine mysteries. I teach and coach. So there's archetypes within me that hold dominance. And I had a really beautiful meeting this weekend with an old friend who used to do the massage at my yoga studio. I had a healing room where people came for treatments, and this woman is a phenomenal woman. She is totally absorbed in her archetype of healer. And I've never met anyone actually that's done so many qualifications and so much self-study and practical study to work with people. She is completely and utterly awesome. And seeing her and spending time with her was very emotional for me. I didn't want to let her go. She reminded me of a time where I had a very large community. I had a really big yoga studio in England, and the community was full. I was having to shut the doors to stop people coming in because I couldn't fit them all in. It was a crazy time, and it was a time where I felt fully alive in my teacher archetype, fully alive in my purpose of community, spirituality, bringing people deeper into the path of themselves. And she reminded me how important community was for me and how my life is lacking in community at the moment. I am definitely seeking to find my spiritual community, and that might invoke massive change for me, which I'm open to. So the archetype of the teacher very much came alive in remembrance of this community, and it's something I seek now and know that this retrograde's really shown me, Collette, you need to find that teacher in you that teaches in a bigger community. I know that for sure. So I'm seeking that now. I also know that I need to find a deep conscious relationship with someone who's doing self work, someone who's aware of his flaws, his wounds, his pains, and for us to co create in our authenticity together and co create sacred space, sacred community. That's my dream. And I'm going to really work in that energy over the next year. That's my goal. That's what I'm seeking, and doing that in a more feminine way than the masculine way that I've been used to. So I wanted to share that as an illustration of for you, for you to try to work out how you would like to move forward with regards to your archetype, what you're seeking and who you're seeking it with. I think that's really the main energy as we move forward in this week. And there is a Pisces stellium, that's Venus, Saturn, Mercury, and North Node in Pisces. And this energy is really supporting what I'm speaking about because it's a very dreamy, karmic, poetic energy that is stirring the deep waters of our soul. So yeah, that is just feel that language, dreamy, poetic energy that's stirring the deep waters of the soul. I mentioned to a friend yesterday that this word love affair keeps coming to me, to have a love affair. And it's so dreamy and poetic, that word, isn't it? And yeah, try to bring in some dreamy, poetic like wording into your life. What dreamy, poetic energy wants to come into the waters of your soul. So just a little oversight of what this week's energy forecasts, especially with regards to astrology that has such a deep impact on us, is that Venus is in Pisces. So it's about love being devotional, a longing in our hearts for divine union with someone with unconditional tenderness and compassion. And as I said, a love affair. And then the Saturn in Pisces is about bringing structure, bringing some devotional structure to our spiritual practices. There would be a really good time to do that. Are we meditating daily? Are we doing our journaling? Are we doing inner shadow work? Or, where are we putting our devotional energy? And are you doing enough? And is it regular? And then you're looking at emotional boundaries, karmic reckoning around love and illusion. So, where are you still holding illusions around love? Like, where is love still not healed for you? What work do you need to do there? Mercury's in Pisces is about bringing messages through our unconscious, specifically through dreams, watching for symbols that keep showing themselves. I had a symbol of a deer on my river last night, just a single female. And, these little things that come in an orange tipped butterfly sat before me yesterday. These are deep symbols from nature and creator. And it's a week not for logic, let's say. It's not a week for trying to work things out mentally, but very much that dreamy, poetic journaling, intuiting, feeling. That's the energy in the Pisces. And so the North Node in Pisces is all of us generally being asked to move towards more surrender, trust, spiritual connection, and a poetic, artistic, dreamy expression of our souls. So quite loving the energy of this week because it's obviously starting to move forward, but in this dreamy, fluid, watery, kind of airy energy. It's not going full throttle yet. It's building up, much like spring here at this part of France. We are seeing spring open, but not in full bloom yet. So we want to align with that energy into that dreamy, floaty, gentle awakening, gentling opening. I made an analogy in my yoga class the other day of the leaves on the trees slowly unfurling, testing the environment and the air quality of the air, still a little cool, not quite warm enough to fully bloom. And just feeling that within our own bodies, that energy will see you well this week. So yeah, feeling that in our bodies, how that wants to express itself. Time to put roses in the house, let the sunlight through the windows, put lace up at the window, this kind of beautiful feeling as Venus begins to move forward again. Oh boy, we've needed this. And I'm so looking forward to this week being really indulging myself in my work, my feminine energy, just doing some really sweet things for myself, spending time in my garden by the spring and the river, just feeling the love affair. That word is my word for the week. The poetry, the dreaminess. So, what are your words for the week that engage in that kind of energy? Feel them, embody them somatically, use them through the week. But most of all, just enjoy this new change of energy, and well done to you all for getting through what we've just been through. It was difficult, it was heart shattering, but it was absolutely necessary for this more mystical, beautiful aspect of our souls to come forward. So I'm wishing you a dreamy week, sending lots of love. Bye for now, Collette.